Hey there, it's Natalie Marie Collins, creator of the Brilliance Blueprint, business coach, and now podcaster. Whoop, whoop. So that's been really fun and exciting, by the way, to do the podcast. I just released episode 6. So if you haven't seen it yet or didn't know about it yet, it's over on iTunes. It's the Fit and Fresh Life podcast, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. So here's a fun, interesting, fascinating thing. Hey, Nat, or John says, hey, Nat. Hey, John, how are you doing? So there's been this really interesting turn of events that has happened in the past week. And if you watch my video on the Zing and the last video that I posted up, I've had some big stuff happen. It's almost been this subtle shift, but also this huge awakening moment of being able to tap into my inner authority. And I'll explain what that is here in a second. But really hearing the weird word of sugar, that sugar has been what has been causing the pain in my back or the pinched nerve that I've been feeling. That is also directly connected to my inner authority and why it gets fuzzy, and I haven't been able to hear it as clearly as I want to and as clearly as I have in the past. And when I mean in the past, when I was doing the raw food diet, I got that sucker loud and clear, and it changed my life. And this is a huge, huge, huge thing that I want you guys to just really know and understand, that you have this internal guidance system. We all do, but it shows up in different ways for each of us. So that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. But this internal guidance system, once you tap into it, will steer you in the right direction, because it's always doing what's best for you. And the really interesting thing is, in what human design teaches us, is that in 1781, that's when our chakra system split from a 7-centered being into a 9-centered being. And we were able to really tap into this inner authority aspect of things. And us as humanity are shifting, or that's when we started shifting into changing of the guards, in a sense, and changing rulership. And so instead of the kings and queens type of rulership, we're changing and shifting guards into our own inner authority and being able to tap into that and be able to rule and guide ourselves in the correct way. So what the heck does that mean exactly? So in human design, it teaches us that there are 8 different inner authorities, 8 different ways. So if you've ever heard somebody say, follow your gut, what does your gut say? Or follow your heart. These are different ways to tap into this inner authority that most people have gotten shut down in childhood, or something's blocking them from being able to hear it or listen to it, or they've never been taught how to do it. I was never really taught, because I didn't know what my design was my whole life until several years ago when I discovered it. When I discovered human design, it gave me the words that I'd been searching for in knowing what the heck an inner authority was, because I didn't have any idea what that was until I heard about it. And I was like, that's what that is. That's that inner intuition, that inner guidance that I can tap into and follow. And here's the kicker. The first time I really heard it, it completely shifted my entire life. Literally, my life crumbled from this, okay? Everything crumbled, but it all shifted for the better. So when I work with people, when I'm coaching people, this is the energy that I bring. Sorry, I do come with a disclaimer that shit's going to change and stuff's going to happen and transformation happens, because that's the energy that I bring into the room. And so, but I had to experience that first before I could start guiding people along those paths and being able to really experience what transformation is for them, so that I could help guide them in the correct direction. So these 8 inner authorities, what human design is teaching us is that there's 8 different ways for people to tap into this inner knowing, this inner intuition, so that we can follow what's best for us, even if the people around you freak out about it. Because it's not always easy to follow that yes for you or no for you when there's like peer pressure or all that other stuff that can happen in life. So what are the 8 inner authorities? What are the 8 authorities? Not all of them are inner. The first one is emotional. This is 50% of the population. Like a lot of people are going to have emotional authority. What emotional authority is it's this emotional wave that happens like once you get like, oh, this sounds like this, it could be a yes. Maybe you don't know if it's a no. So there's this emotional wave that happens of it up and down. And depending on how you're hooked up in your emotional center will depend on what kind of wave happens. It could be one that goes way up and way down. It could be one that goes up and then goes down a little bit, goes down a little bit, goes down and goes back up. So what happens within the emotional wave is that there's no clarity in the now for those who have to process through things emotionally. And it's really about tapping into the depth of the experience, the highs and lows of it, and getting that clarity point so there will be this truth clarity that happens. And especially when you come out of the other end of the wave, this will be so clear to you that it's like, it's a yes or it's a no. I'm clear and that's it. It's a done deal. But because there's that up and down, you need to process that. So if you have emotional authority, you need to sleep on it and not make rash decisions in the now. Give yourself a chance to process those emotions. And so if you honor that and give yourself that opportunity to process through the emotions, then when you get to that clarity point, it feels so good to be able to move forward in the yes or the no that you've gotten from yourself, and knowing that that's your place that you can trust regardless that this is the correct path for you. So the second one in human design is the sacral authority, which is the sacral center in the human design chart. And what this is all about is it is a really kind of like getting back to the basic instincts of things. It's this primal instinct, this stepping into a room and knowing instantly whether or not you should be there. A great example is if you step into a restaurant and you know immediately you should not be there, and this is not a good place or it's not a safe place for you, and you can turn around and get out. That is your sacral center saying, nope, this is not safe. I'm out of here. This is a no. And so it's about safety. It's about, is it safe for you to do this? Yes or no? Is this good and healthy for you to do? Yes and no. And it's this in the moment, knowing that you know this. And it gets kind of fun with the sacral authority because every decision is complete opposite from the emotional. It's all about being in the now with the splenic. So then we'll pop over to the sacral center, and this is specifically for generators and manifesting generators. You'll either have emotional authority or sacral authority. And if you don't have emotional authority, then you'll have sacral authority. And sacral authority is really fun to play with because that is the gut response. That's when people are saying, follow your gut. Those are the people that have sacral authority that need to actually follow their gut. And their gut comes from this, it's this guttural noise of uh-huh or uh-uh. And it's like yummy, mm-hmm, or not yummy, no type of thing. Instead of the words yes and no, because it's a resonant tone, it comes from that guttural noise. And that guttural noise, once it's turned on, then you'll actually feel it in your system, like turning on the energy to like go forward and do the thing and get out there and make it happen in that sense, and then following your strategy depending on what your human design type is. will determine that. So sacral is a lot of fun to play with in that regard. So then the next one, which is number 4 on the list, is ego manifested authority. And this is just for manifestors, and it's their willpower center. And it's all about what the heart wants. These are the people that should follow their heart and what they have the willpower to do, what they want to do, because what they want to do as a manifestor, manifestors have this really cool magical aura that can make things happen like this when they're in their correct yes. So they need to get really comfortable with knowing that what it is that they want is actually good for not only them, but for the people around them as well. Even if people have resistance to it, then they know that those people are a no for them to like come along with you on it. But it is, all of this is so much about your own personal journey and figuring out what it is that you want. So when we get to ego projected, which is mine, hello, and this is actually the rarest of all of the inner authorities. So if I know I have like 2 friends on here that are here on Facebook that are ego projected. It is not common at all. So this has made it a little more difficult to actually figure out how the heck I actually hear this. But this is that, this comes from the heart space as well. And the heart space syncs up with the will center and is like, hey, this transformation needs to happen. This needs to happen. This is what I want and I want to happen. But it also comes into what does source want for the other person. And so that's where my coaching comes into play, and I have a lot of fun with that. And that's why I said in the beginning of this, like, I have a disclaimer when people work with me, that transformation will happen with this because it's the energy that I bring. It comes with my ego projected, but that is also a very internal thing where it's all about following what's coming up on the inside. And it can trip the mind up, because here's the trigger on this. The brain is not here to make the decisions. We have these points in the body, and that's so much what this is about, and what this teaches us is that these points in the body are what is the receptors to what the correct yes and no for us is. And then the mind is taking notes and is dictating what it is that needs to happen, and then becomes like kind of the taskmaster and be like, okay, we have these things that need to happen now because this is the direction we're going. And the mind can be like, oh yeah, I have that information stored here. I know how to do this here. I know who to contact here. I know how to Google this here type of reaction to what it is that your body is saying. So we get to self-projected authority. Now, this comes from the heart of hearts, the seat of the soul. This is also a follow your heart type of design in a little bit different way, because it's connected up to the throat center and it'll be spoken through the voice. And this is kind of the trick for these particular projectors, is they actually need to listen to what it is that they're saying that they want to do, what feels good to them, what sounds like fun, what sounds like them, because it is their self. Like, yes, that sounds like something I would like to do. That sounds like in alignment with me. And they are here to listen to what it is that they're saying so that they can hear what it is their heart's trying to tell them. And then we get to outer authority, or it's a couple different ways. Mental authority. I don't really care for the mental authority label. Or it's also a sounding board. So these are for projectors only. And these projectors need to bounce their ideas off of the people around them. And these are people that don't have agendas and stuff attached to it. They just need to hear themselves talk through it in order to get to the clarity point. When they get to the clarity, it'll actually be a whole body resonance that will happen. And it's a clarity that like kind of sweeps over them and gets them excited. And that becomes the yes for them. And then they can go and have fun and do the thing. And then the last one is the lunar cycle, and this is specifically just for reflectors. Now, because reflectors are so open in the chart, if you've ever seen a human design reflector chart, they have all of their centers open. And because of this openness that they have, they're always sampling and taking in the world around them. And they actually need to wait an entire lunar cycle to make a decision, because it takes, as the moon moves through each one of the gates in the human design chart, it activates these different areas, and each day the reflector will feel differently about the decision that needs to be made. And so over the 28 days, they have this decision-making process. And then at the end of the 28 days, then they can make the decision based on all these other factors that they've come into play. And it's really good for them to also talk it through with people around them and have a sounding board, in a sense, as they process through their feelings and how it feels overall through each one of the days. So this is all 8 of the human design inner authorities, which is a fraction of what I teach people in the Brilliance Blueprint and walk them through to get them to understand who they are, how they operate in the world. This inner authority is a key piece, because it is so important for you to understand who it is that you are and how you hear your own internal direction. And that's part of what I help people with as well, because this is really important to be able to tap into, and I help people figure out and see what it is that their inner authority is and how to tap into that, how to hear it, how to listen to it, because I can actually feel it in my system because of how I've been trained, and also all of the clearing work that I've done in the past, all the healing work, all the NSA chiropractic, the raw food stuff. It's been this really phenomenal journey for me to be able to go through and realize that, hey, wait a second, we're changing as a society into this being able to guide ourselves based on our inner authority and what's correct for us, and trusting and knowing that what's correct for us is actually not only good for us individually, but also good for those around us, because it may get them to respond in a different way, or it may push the energy forward in a different way, or it may transform things in a way that needs to be transformed, even if everyone else is resistant to it around them, which is usually what I do. So this is just this really fascinating thing. And you guys, the other day when the whole sugar thing came up, if you watched my Zing video, here's the thing, is my inner authority literally screaming at me through my back first. And then I was finally able to tap in, and it told me that sugar was the culprit. Sugar was causing my back pain, and it was also blocking me from, or creating this haze around me being able to tap into my inner authority on a consistent basis. No wonder I was driving myself crazy, because I was trying to hear what it was that I wanted, what my inner authority was, and I was having this really hard time, and I didn't realize that it's actually sugar. So with fascinating things. So I am 1 week off of sugar now, and I'll tell you, I've had insights. Powerful insights over this weekend. One of those insights were we were actually just looking at RVs, because we still like this idea of going RVing, even if it's part-time, just on vacations. Going to Moab a couple weekends ago really got us excited about the possibilities of RVing again. And now being out west, there's a lot of RVs out here, guys. A lot. And I know Florida has a lot of RVs because all the snowbirds go down to Florida and Arizona. I haven't been down there in a little bit, but we're watching around and it's full-blown summertime, and there's RVs all over the place. And so it's kind of got this little bug back in us of hey, let's go look and see what the possibilities are, because we were thinking here's the thing. Well, it's still kind of not solid totally yet. We were thinking, okay, so we have the Subaru and the Subaru Outback, and it tows like, has like a 2,000-pound towing capacity. What could we get that we could tow behind the Subaru and make it a fun adventure, maybe like this little weekend getaway type of thing? And so we were going around RV shopping and to the RV places to see like if they had like any teardrop trailers or whatnot to like what are the possibilities of being able to tow behind the Subaru. So we were going through some of the RVs, and I stepped out of a fifth wheeler one, and all of a sudden I just had this flash of inspiration, or this flash of a movie in a sense, of me stepping out. And as I was stepping out, it was actually like a KOA campground or something like that, where it's like, I live in this thing full time. And I was like, that wasn't part of my plan up here, but it actually got me excited to start thinking about the idea of going full-time RVing again, because we have 1 year left taking care of the family homestead. And then what? We haven't been really sure yet. And so all of a sudden it was like, oh, what if this is still a possibility? And yeah. So we're like, let's see what happens. And we've actually been really excited about the idea of doing this. At minimum, minimizing stuff and putting things in storage and just really getting rid of a lot of the stuff that we really don't need anymore. I know we minimized a lot when we moved from Atlanta to here to Utah, but then, you know, we have all of our stuff and we're like, we love our stuff. Don't get me wrong, we're both Tauruses, so we like our stuff. And so the whole idea of full-time RVing and getting rid of all of our stuff and having everything that we own in an RV honestly kind of freaked me out before. But this time around, it's like, okay, so here's kind of the kicker. In Atlanta, it is so humid there that we had our stuff, when we first moved out there, we were in an apartment, so we couldn't fit a lot of our stuff in there. So we got a storage unit and we had our stuff in there, but it is so humid there that when we went to move out of the apartment and move into the houses that we moved into, when we moved up to Woodstock, we opened up the shed or the storage unit, and everything that had fabric on it was covered in nasty mold. It was gross. And so what I learned really quickly and the hard way is that the humidity turns things into mold, and we should not keep our precious valuables in a storage unit in Georgia. So the whole idea of RVing when we were in Georgia, the storage unit isn't an option unless we did a climate controlled one. And so then we'd have to have a climate controlled or put it all in a pod, which now I know from calling them that if you call pods ahead of time, if your pod is at a particular storage unit or a warehouse, that they will pull it down for you and you can go through and get your stuff and then they'll put it back. So that's cool if you guys have a pod and didn't know that. But here's the thing, like, we could get a pod, we get a climate controlled storage unit, but a normal storage unit that's not climate controlled, not an option. And so the other option would be get rid of all of our stuff and have everything just in our RV. Well, that idea freaks me out, because what if you crash? Like, what if the RV goes up in flames? Like, you see this stuff happening. And so like this fear stuff really started kicking in, and I was like, I don't think I'm comfortable having everything that I own in an RV. So now here in Utah, there's literally no humidity, and you can keep stuff in storage for years and it doesn't mold. So growing up here, the whole idea of stuff molding the way that it does in Atlanta was shocking to me. I'm sure a lot of my East Coast friends are like, duh. But that's that's the thing. And so we were like, hey, what if this continues to be home base, and we just, like, for now anyways, and we get a storage unit, put everything in a storage unit. get like just have our address be the same, and we go have fun for a while until we get tired of having all that fun and we've seen everything. I don't know how long that's going to take. It may take a couple of years. We don't know, but we'll have that home base of, at minimum, the storage unit to have all of our stuff that's not going to mold. So it was like, problem solved. So then we got really excited about the possibilities and the idea again of being able to do this. Now, I will tell you that a little teardrop shaped camper with the Subaru, I don't know if that's gonna really do it for me. I kind of want something a little bit bigger if I'm gonna be living in it full time, but we will see how things progress. I'll keep you guys updated on all of that. But it was just this really fascinating revelation from my inner authority that said, hey, let's do the thing. It's like, okay. And that's where, that's what I'm telling you guys this story is, because like, this is what my heart was telling me and my brain's like, whoa, you want me to do what? You want me to like minimize again and really downsize and put everything into a storage unit and try this again? Like, okay, all right. And that's where I was talking about a little bit ago about listening to the inner authority. The mind's not here to make the decisions from it. The inner authority says, this is what we're going to do. And the mind says, okay. And it follows the directions of how to do it. Hey, Catherine, I see. Oh, you're so thrilled to be able to catch me live. Ah! How fun. And oh, I'm so glad you got goosebumps from the RV thing. It totally kind of tripped me out. But this past week of being sugar-free, of all things, like seriously, the sugar, it was legit like blocking me from hearing all these things, unless they've been like really loud and clear and screaming in my face. This time it was screaming in my back, which, by the way, my back pain has significantly reduced in this past week from being off sugar. What do you know? I'm hoping to drop some pounds with that too. I know that'll happen. So yeah, I got goosebumps too with the vision, and it's been this mind trip of the past couple days of like, okay, source, I'm following you. I hear that you want us to have a lot of fun with our lives, and we're just gonna go for it. And when I told Lee about it, he was like, this again? This is actually really exciting from this vantage point, because Lee grew up on the East Coast. So I grew up here in Utah. Lee grew up in South Carolina, and he's always wanted to go to all of these national parks here out west. And when we finally went to Moab, he literally, his face lit up. He was a kid in a candy store, and it was almost like, what if we moved to Moab? Like, just so he could have this kid-like excitement all the time, because there's like people driving four-wheelers all over the place and hauling motorcycles, and there's just a lot of fun activity happening there, and it's literally like adult Disneyland with off-road vehicles. So there was this thought of like, well, what if we move there? And I was like, well, let's be a little realistic. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from any decent sized city. I think Grand Junction, Colorado was the closest big city that I would be able to like get groceries and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay with that. That's a little remote for me, but Moab is really cool. So there's things to consider, but if we're in an RV, we can just stay there for a couple weeks and enjoy it and then move on to the next one. So these are really huge possibilities that are opening up for us. It's really fun and exciting to start leaning into this and being okay with it and having fun with it. So one of the other things that, because we've kind of gone down this little rodeo show before of prepping for this, I know we shared a little bit before. I want to share a lot more with you guys this time of what we're doing, because there's a huge mindset shift that happens with this. So getting the inner authority nudge of going this direction, and the mind's tripping out. Okay, mind's over here going, what the, like, holy crap, this is a big change. And so from this is when the mindset shift stuff needs to start happening. Minimizing needs to start happening. And so there's the shift that starts to snowball down. And I've made the shift before because we were going to do this a couple years ago, and then just decided not to for a little bit. Lo and behold, it was just more for future stuff. We have a lot of stuff also, so it just takes some time. But listening to that from here and listening from the body and getting the body resonance, and that's like, I'm trying to drill this into you guys of, it's so important to learn and understand what your inner authority is so you can start to feel what the yes feels like, feel what the no feels like, follow that intuition, because your life may want to radically change for the better so that you can have a whole lot of fun. Or maybe it wants to change your business in a completely different direction. And so that's one of the things too is, if we're on the road full time, we will need to make sure that we have Wi-Fi during certain times, and not just randomly pop up. So I'm narrowing my coaching time and stuff down to Tuesday through Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be my coaching time, so we can have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday open to, you know, if we find a random McDonald's or whatever with like in the parking lot. McDonald's always has good Wi-Fi. So that's why I say, like, in the parking lot of McDonald's, we know that they always have reliable, good Wi-Fi there, and they're everywhere. So at minimum, we can find Wi-Fi if we're traveling around, but it's not always conducive to calls. So we're, you know, now is the time to start narrowing that down and redesigning how it is that we want to live our life. And we're in a really good place to be able to do that. And I want to be able to share with you guys the journey along the way so that you can understand like these little nuances that happen with this. I'm going through boxes of stuff now that I'm looking at, and some of the stuff I'm putting in the storage, labeling for RV. Some of it I'm pulling out because I want to put together an RV box. And so that, you know, there's dishes, I was doing a thing yesterday. Part of my inner authority, okay, you guys know I love bio coffee. I've talked about it a lot. I think I mainly talk about it on Instagram. But I do love my bio coffee, and my inner authority told me no more bio coffee unless it's on workout days, because I like to have bio coffee in the mornings as my morning fuel to fuel me through my workout. And it's like, no more, just on workout days. And I was like, fine. So that's the brain saying, So I was looking through my stuff, and I have this really nice French press for coffee, and I was going through it, and I was like, you know what? We probably won't even need something, even something to make coffee with, because we're not coffee drinkers. So I was like, but what if I got a metal French press? And so like I have this commentary happening of like, how can I justify still having this attachment to it? I'm like, Natalie, when is it time to just let it go? So these are these little nuances of, do I even need a coffee press? No, bio coffee comes in packets, but I'm not really having bio coffee packets anymore. So I haven't used a coffee press or a French press in probably 2 years. So I don't really need it. As much as I like them and as beautiful as I think they are, these are the things that I get to go through, and Lee and I get to go through and decide what it is that we want. I have this container from before. It's like this big, where I was challenging myself to have this as my office. And it's this little like art plastic container. It's like, my office fits in this. So I'm going to challenge myself again to fit that in my, have that be my office, which means sticky notes. And also I'm going to put everything into my bullet journal, because I have my task and to-do lists and stuff like this on giant sticky notes. And unless we get one of those fifth wheelers that have the toy garage thing in the back, which we would convert into an office space, there's not really space for these giant sticky notes in an RV. I might be able to do it on cabinets and whatnot, but having a consistent task list that's this big may not be the best idea for an RV. So I'll need to revive my bullet journal and reevaluate that too. All right. I think I'm done talking. How about you? You done listening? All right. I had my list of authorities on here. So here's the deal. I really want you to be able to understand and tap into your inner authority and know what that is. So I've been offering, I just started this, I'm offering free mini coaching sessions that will pull your human design chart, and I'll tell you what your inner authority is and your strategy on how to use it so you can start learning how this works for you in your body. Start tapping into that so you can start moving forward in your business, so you can start moving forward in your life. Maybe you too want to go on fun RV adventures. Like, what is your energy saying yes to that your mind needs to follow in order to bring this rich, vibrant life into reality for yourself? And so it could be through your business and it could be through your life. We don't know that yet, but if you're an entrepreneur, they're the same. They go together. And so if you would like to get one of those half-hour mini coaching sessions with me, just message me and I'll send you the link to my calendar so that you can pop on my calendar and we'll have a talk and have a lot of fun with this. I love this work, you guys. Like, I love it because once, and I introduce this to all of my clients, once you start tapping into that, it's incredibly liberating to know that you have this internal guidance system that you can trust hands down, regardless of everything else that's going on around you. You always have this source of knowing what your direction is. And so many people live their life confused, lost, not knowing who to follow, what to follow, when it's really inside. And I truly, honestly believe that you have your own answers inside of you. And sometimes it just takes a little coaching to get that out so you can start going in the right direction with it. And I'd love to be able to support you at least stepping into part of that journey for you. So PM me and I'll get you on my calendar. So talk to you soon. Bye.